in no way can one prove that Bhavarupa Jnanam, positive ignorance, meaning tangible ignorance, is the material for the creation. So, the direct material for the universe is Brahman. It is not that we should always think, as is the creation, so should be the nature of its source. There need not be conformity between Maya Srishti and the source. There need not be conformity between Maya Srishti and the source. Maya Srishti doesn't have to inherit the qualities of the source. Where there is a transformation, there the effect inherits the qualities of the cause. Curd inherits the qualities of the milk because transformation. There is some transformation. Children inherit the qualities, some biological qualities of the parents because transformation. The tree inherits. Wherever there is a transformation, there the effect inherits the qualities of the cause, the source. This is what is called Karyam becomes Anvita by Karanaguna. The causal qualities are seen in the effects. The causal qualities are seen in the effects. Where there is a transformation. If the cause transforms and becomes an effect, some of the causal qualities are inherited. They flow into effect. So the whole Tarka survives on this one statement. The Karyam is endowed with the qualities of the Karanam. Yeah, that is true. The effect has to be endowed with the qualities of the cause, provided the cause underwent change. But if it is Maya Srishti, then the universe need not inherit the qualities of Brahman. No. Brahman is eternal, but the creation is non-eternal. Brahman is consciousness, whereas the creation is inert. Brahman is perfect, but creation is imperfect, meaning it can't make me happy. Brahman is myself and the creation is other, objectifiable. Brahman is unobjectifiable and the creation is objectifiable. What is how the universe really, it doesn't inherit any quality. The Brahman is and the universe is not. Only to convince the Shunyavadi we say, Bhaiya, if it is not born of Shunyam, it is born of Brahman, which is, that is why the universe looks to be. Bas itna hi hai. Not that it inherits the quality of existence. The universe looks to be because its source is. Had its source been the Shunya, then it would not have been seen as is. It would have been still seen as is not. And how does it happen? How does it happen, ji? To be seen as is not? What a funny thing. The universe is seen to be. Does something also gets seen not to be? Therefore, that particular argument that Bhashyakara gives to dismiss the Shunyavadi, we say Brahman is, he doesn't say the universe also is seen. No, is. He says Brahman is, that is why the universe looks to be. Brahman is, that is why the universe looks to be. But what other qualities does it inherit? Nothing. Creation doesn't inherit the qualities of the source. The source is the subject and the creation is the object. Contrast. So between the source and the creation there is no agreement, there is only contrast. This is what you have to reflect on. It should touch you. This is what should touch you. The ambitions for collecting material objects collapse with this statement. Between the truth and the creation, there is no agreement. There is a contrast, virodha. That is why Bhagavan says how there is virodha between light and darkness. In that manner, there is virodha between Atma and Anatma. Creation is not a clue to, the form is not a clue to its source. My experiences are clue to my nature, not the form. That I now see the form and that I see now there is no form, that kind of experience. My experiences are a clue to my nature. My experiences are a clue. They do become a clue too. My experiences are a clue too. My nature plus they are a clue too. What the source of the universe is. That means if we have the clues to know ourselves, why should we study Shastra? I say we told these are the clues. Shastra only comes and tells me how it points out, just as we say the Shastra points out the truth. And to explain how we are the truth, it points to the clues to the truth. Are you able to follow? You are the truth. Why? Your own experiences are the clues. Therefore, make use of your own experiences to understand yourself. Therefore, form is not a clue to the truth. There is a difference between form and my experiences. Sound and my experience. My experience. That I am aware of the form is a different matter from just looking at the form. And the form can never exist except as anubhava, is it not? There is no form except as I see the form. I am experiencing myself as the seer of the form. Thus, the objects are not a clue to the source. Our experiences indeed are a clue to the source. Our experiences are not subjective. Our experiences, of course, belong to the subject, but not subjective. They pertain to the subject, but they are not subjective like likes and dislikes. They are all very subject, changeable, different from person to person. What differs from person to person is subjective. What differs from person to person is subjective. But we all now see the waking, now not see the waking. Now see there is waking, now see also there is no waking. Now see there is a dream, now see there is no dream. In this manner, now we see the presence of life, we see the beginning of life, we also see there was no life beyond that point, etc., etc., etc. These fundamental, unfathomed, unlooked at experiences. Because man does not look at his experiences, he looks at the objects of his experience. It's a great secret why man doesn't come back to himself. He doesn't look at his experiences, he only looks at the objects of experience. He looks at the plants and trees and rocks and objects. He looks at the forms and sounds. He doesn't look at the fact that he is. It's experience. Then someone dream also, experience, sleep also an experience. And therefore, the more he thinks in terms of his experiences, he will suddenly discover even deep sleep is an experience. As long as man thinks only in terms of the objects, then he looks at the deep sleep state. It is nothing because there is no object. Are you able to follow? Don't dwell on the objects, dwell on the fact that you are experiencing. Look at your experiences. Therefore, it is wrong to think the objects are a clue to the source. Experiences definitely are a clue. And there is no agreement between the objects and their source. The universe, the creation and the source, there is no agreement. There is a contrast. Why? Because it is a Maya Srishti. Where there is a transformation, there the effect inherits the qualities of the cause. Had Brahman transformed to become the universe, then the universe would have inherited the qualities of Brahman. But it has not. Brahman is conscious, this is inert. Where is the inheritance? Brahman is me and the object is something other than. Brahman is unlimited and every object is limited. Brahman is conscious, the object is inert. Brahman is full and this is incomplete. Brahman is timeless and the objects are time bound. Brahman is ever free and the objects are ever bound. This prakar between the source, the Brahman, and the universe, there is contrast because it is Maya Srishti. This sanskara should sink into the minds. Where there is Maya Srishti, the creation doesn't inherit the qualities of the source. Actually, it is adhyasa, and if you define it in terms of Srishti, then it is Maya Srishti. If you call it Srishti, then it is Maya Srishti. If you call it perception, then it is false perception. Fundamentally, it is a false perception, adhyasa. But to remove that, to negate it, we give a prakriya, and that is called Maya Srishti. Sarpa is fundamentally what? It is adhyasa. Sarpa is adhyasa. सर्पा इज अध्यास. आराम से बैठ के सुनना. सर्पा इज अध्यास. And if you look at it as a Srishti, then it is Maya Srishti. Does it inherit the qualities of the Rajya? You have to hear it. Yes. If you don't follow it, take some antibiotic which instills intelligence. But you have to follow. You have no choice. You have to enjoy Vedanta. Snake doesn't inherit the qualities of the rope. It is a Sap, and call it Maya Srishti. Therefore, you don't have to posit the material substance called Mula Vidya as the material for the universe, just to show the agreement. Because the universe is inert, its material also should be inert. This argument is not a part of Vedanta, it belongs to the Tarkikas. And some of the Vedantis get influenced by Tarka. They are nothing but Tarkikas in the guise of Vedantis. They are Tarkikas in the guise of Vedantis. Yes. They teach Vedanta, but they are Tarkikas. What do they think? Because the universe is inert, the source also must be inert. And because it is inert, Brahman is not inert, Brahman is conscious, therefore it cannot be the immediate material, therefore we have to imagine some material source, and that is positive ignorance. Are you able to follow? But the sanskara has to sink into the mind. The sanskara sinks into them, has to sink into the mind. Between the creation and Bhagavan, there is total contrast. Yes. Between truth and the universe. One is an appearance, the other is the truth. Between appearance and the truth, there can't be any agreement. They are two different things. They are unlike each other. Truth and appearance are unlike each other. Truth is unlike appearance. Therefore, if there need not be conformity between creation and the source, why do you have to posit? Why do you have to posit Mula Vidya as the material? This is one point, Ji. Another point. Think. This is very important, Ji. Just sit down and think. We say, Jagat has got three gunas. Sattva guna, Rajo guna, Tamo guna. And Mula Vidya also must be imagined to have three gunas. Therefore, the three gunas of Mula Vidya transformed and became the universe which has got three gunas. The same argument we give. There need not be conformity. There is no agreement between Maya Srishti and the source. Fundamentally, we have to decide, is it Maya Srishti or Parinam Srishti? Is it something that has happened due to some transformation, or is it Maya Srishti? If it is Maya Srishti, between that Maya Srishti and the source, there need not be any agreement. एक ही जैसे थोड़ी होना है. Then they give the example of shepherds. एक बकरा का बच्चा बकरा होना चाहिए. बकरा का बच्चा का मम्मी बकरा होना चाहिए. हिरण का बच्चा का मम्मी हिरण होना चाहिए. घोड़ा का बच्चा का मम्मी घोड़ा होना चाहिए. वैसे एक जड़ जगत का मम्मी also should be jada, and your Mula Vidya is a jada mummy. What is all this? Say we are talking, this is all Maya Srishti, it is Bhranti. Where there is Bhranti, Bhranti need not inherit the qualities of the source. This is the crux. Where there is Bhranti, that never inherits the qualities of the source. Thus we can never prove that Mula Vidya is necessary. It is necessary to accept Mula Vidya as the material, the immediate material for the Jagat. And then we say Brahman is the ultimate material. What is this ultimate material and immediate material? And we have seen, thus, neither positive ignorance changes and becomes the world, nor absence of knowledge changes and becomes the world. It is Brahman ununderstood looks the world. What looks the world is neither positive ignorance nor negative ignorance. It is not ignorance of any definition that becomes the universe and me. It is the truth ununderstood. I don't want to say truth plus ignorance. तभी प्रॉब्लम हो जाएंगे. कौन सी ignorance? भाव रूप अज्ञानम और अभाव रूप अज्ञानम वगैरह वगैरह. It is not truth plus ignorance. Truth ununderstood. Don't give scope for the second. When rope is understood, rope alone is. When the rope is ununderstood, rope alone is. Where is the second? Truth ununderstood also means truth alone is. Truth ununderstood looks me and the Jagat. Thus, Bhavarupa ignorance. Positive ignorance, that ignorance is not a material, tangible, objectifiable substance. Ignorance is not a material thing. Ignorance is not is a cover. Ignorance means absence of understanding. Aur kuch nahi. Absence. When I don't see, that is ignorance. When I don't see, that is called darkness. Don't say because of darkness I don't see. No. I say even in the middle of the light, when you close your eyes and don't see, that is darkness. Not seeing what is evident is darkness. Not seeing what is evident is ignorance. It is absence of cognition, that is ignorance. Absence of cognition. Absence of cognition. That's called ignorance. That's called darkness. Even the prior to life looks darkness. Later than life also looks darkness. Anything that looks darkness is nothing but lack of cognition of one's presence. Despite the absence of an object, when there is an object, when I don't see it, it looks darkness, physical darkness. When I don't see it, I am in the dark about an object. When I don't see myself, I am in the dark about myself. And here is something. My being in the dark about an object comes and goes. When I see the object, I am not in the dark about an object. When I don't see the object, I am in the dark about an object. But I am, until I understand the truth, I am perennially in the dark about myself. Perennially in the dark. Therefore, even the light about the object, even the sight of the objects, is ignorance about the truth. You understand, Even the sight of the objects, I am seeing the objects. Even though I am seeing the objects and conclude that it is light, but there is ignorance about myself. Supposing one doesn't know himself, it is darkness. This much you understand. If you can manage to understand, we don't fail to see due to darkness. Not seeing is darkness. absence of sight is darkness. Don't say due to absence of sight there is darkness. Don't also say due to darkness there is absence of sight. Darkness is another word for absence of sight. If you can manage to convince yourself of this beautiful thing, you have to see how true it is. Then the darkness as another thing gets removed from our life. There is only truth and lack of understanding. There is only truth to be understood, that's all. Life is the presence of truth to be understood. Not life is either light or darkness. There is no darkness. And the very experience pertaining to darkness. Darkness is not a clue to my nature, but my experience of the darkness is a clue to my nature. Why? Even when I see the darkness, there is no negation of experience. That experience is a clue to my presence along with darkness. Therefore, think about all these things. There is no need to imagine some material source. This is all over the. And now the last point. Tasmat anirvajaneyam anadhyajnanam tattad bhrantau laukika rajatadi vilakshana mithya rajatadya nirvachaniya vishaya rupena tattad jnana rupena cha parinatam tattad adhisthana bhuta shukyadi jnanad vinashyate ityetat sarvam Vandhyaputrasya janana vriddhi rajyabhisheka shuka dukkha anubhava maranadivat iti atyanta asambhavitam kalpitam drishtaihi vadibihi. Baba. These people who take the stand that we have to accept some material source for the universe, he calls them drishta. Drishta. Drishta means obstinate, obsessed. Vadivihi. What do they say? Avidya should be accepted to be positive. And that ignorance changes and looks the universe. Whereas we say ignorance doesn't change and look the universe. Brahman looks the universe and me due to ignorance. And ignorance means what? Only absence of understanding. Bas. Ignorance means what? Absence of understanding. When I don't see myself, that is called ignorance. Now, when these people are obsessed with this idea of Mula Vidya, it is like what? He said, इसको पढ़ना चाहता हूँ. हमारा झुकाव भी थोड़ा ठीक हो जाएगा इस लाइन से. Because I like little bit of. You have to show you a bit of your mind. To say that Mula Vidya transforms and becomes the Rajatam, and when the Shuktika is known, that Rajatam gets destroyed. This whole thing, imagining some kind of transformation behind appearance, is like what? Vandhyaputrasya. It's like imagining a son who is never born. Okay? Vandhya means a barren woman who has never given birth to a son. And imagine a son is called Vandhyaputra, a non-existent child. And once you accept, the positivity of the Vandhyaputra, there is Vandhyaputra, but then, is less real than the real Putra. Then you start imagining his birth also. Then you start imagining Vriddhi, his growth, old age. Then you also imagine Rajyabhishek, means he is coronated as the prince. Who? Vandhyaputra. Sukha Dukkha, and he also has Sukha and Dukkha. And then ultimately Marana, and he dies. Vatu. Can you really think of a Vandhyaputra's birth to grow? A child that is never born, can he grow? Can you coronate him as the prince? Can you get him married? Can you take a Vandhyaputra to Kalyana Mandapam? Can you take a Vandhyaputra to Kalyana Mandapam for marriage? All imagining wrong things. Asambhavat is all impossible. It is not possible to think of the birth of a Vandhyaputra. Similarly, it is not possible to think of the birth of an error, the birth of a Bhranti is not born. Bhranti is only seen, not born. Dream is not born, dream is seen. There is no birth of a mountain there. The mountains are not born there, they are only seen. The trees are not born there. The events are not born there. There is no birth, Ji. Birth means transformation. Therefore, in order to understand the difference between the uniqueness of Bhranti, always contrast it to transformation. Birth implies transformation, growth implies transformation, and old age implies transformation, Sukha-Dukkha implies transformation, every event implies causation. Causation means, the transformation, causation. Causation, transformation are one and the same really. Call it time, call it transformation, call it change, call it causation, these are all the same thing. Call it time, it's all happening in time, happening in space, happening in the realm of thought. क्या फर्क पड़ता है जी? It all means what? All having transformation, causation, and whereas Bhranti has nothing to do with causation, ignorant. I start seeing wrong, distortion, not transformation. Distortion, always to understand distortion, contrast it to transformation. You will understand what it is. You cannot enjoy the thought of distortion, that the whole thing is a distortion about my being, can be understood the best way if you contrast it to the idea of transformation. It is not transformation. Because transformation can't be reversed, whereas distortion can be reversed. ये भी बहुत बड़ी बात है, हमको इसको ये बहुत अच्छा लगता है. It's a very touching thing. You see, if Srishti is due to transformation, then it can't have laya. भगवान ने परिणामित होके transformed and becomes the world, let us say, वो तो फिर लय कैसे होगा जी? Your curd cannot go back to milk state. Or a better example is, you can't go back to childhood. In mind you may imagine, I wish I were a child. I wish I were still taking those toffees. Sorry. When you don't know how to think like a grown-up person, then you start wishing to think like a child. Why do you want to be like a child? Maturity is a blessing. Think like a mature person. Think like a grown-up person. And the growth has to be matched with the truth. I must only feel, you feel grown up when you think of the truth, not otherwise. You feel grown up. You feel your gambhirata only when you think of the truth. Otherwise you will think, you will look like a small. If you are only thinking about money, pleasure, pain, raga, dvesha, you don't feel that you have grown up. Because children also do the same thing. There is no difference between children's love for comforts and likes and dislikes. And I also don't have. Then what is the difference? To feel that to feel certain depth about my being, I must make the truth the topic, which is not the topic of anybody. Only when I think of the truth, I feel I have. It is something good. Maturity is indeed enjoyable, not baby stuff. Babies don't enjoy themselves, babies are enjoyed by the parents. They don't fondle themselves. And therefore, so we can't go back to the baby stage because we can't reverse the change. Whereas in the morning the Srishti appears and again it resolves. That means what? It is not a transformation born appearance. It is a mere appearance which can have laya. Maya can be reversed. Parinama cannot be reversed. Parinama can't be reversed. Maya can be reversed. Anyway, is prakar. Then he says, Naisha prakriya lokasiddha bhranti nidarshanartham pravrittasya bhashyakarasya hridayam arudha iti alam kudrishti parikshanena. Enough of analyzing this teda sight. Kudrishti. Kudrishti means, this Mula Vidya Drishti is a kudrishti. Kutsita drishtihi kudrishti. Kutsita drishtihi means bad thinking. It's a wrong theory. And to think this is what Bhashyakara thought. Oh my God. If I come to know, I am carrying flowers to be offered to Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji in a temple. On the way, if I really feel convinced that if I come to know that this is exactly what Shankaracharya thought, the material is Mula Vidya, I will take the flowers back. Haji, I am not going to give it. I will take the flowers back. Maybe I will give it to Gangaji. Why? Because it is useless. Kudrishti. It is a kudrishti. This is what Bhashyakara means to say that is wrong. You can't ascribe your blindness to Bhagavan Bhashyakara. You can't ascribe your squint-eyed sight to Bhashyakara. You can't ascribe your illusions to Bhagavan Bhashyakara. He was too great a person because he was interested in explaining everything as Bhranti about the truth. It's a great thing. At once the whole thing is a vision about the truth, the Brahman. Me as a Jiva is a Bhranti about me, the Brahman. Without any change involving in it. There is no change behind it, there is no transformation behind it, there is no will behind it, there is no time behind it, nothing. Because all these details which you give are a part of the creation. A part of the creation cannot be given as a background to the creation. Enough to enlighten a person. No given detail of the creation can be given as the background to the creation. Time is a part of creation, not a background. Change is inside creation, not a background. Yes, the inertness is a part of creation, not the background. Thought is a part of creation, not the background. Truth is not a part of creation, therefore that can be the background. And truth also is not the background. Truth as ununderstood. Truth ununderstood is the background to the whole appearance. Thus we have concluded this particular topic, that really our life doesn't have the background of any transformation. I am just concluding it. Then Naya will start it, Aram se. Neither there is a transformation, nor time, nor will. Even sin and merit are not the reasons for life. Sin and merit also is a part of creation. Don't imagine. Prarabdham, these are all a part of creation. But the fundamental reason for life is Brahman, Adhyasa. We never say the punya and papa create life. No. Punya, papa are accumulated in the course of life. But life itself is in the form of a perception about the truth. Life is a perception about the truth. During life you accumulate punya, papa, and therefore it falls inside creation. That's nothing. Once you make the truth the topic, you don't become too serious about punya, papa. Even if you nullify a bit of papa, बाकी सब क्या करेंगे? Punya papa cease to be the topic for a Vedanti, understand? Punya papa cease to be the topic. You will not commit sin, but you won't make punya papa the topic. Understand me correctly. You will be dharmic, but you won't make the dharma the topic. You follow dharma, but that's not my topic. I follow the law of the land, but that's not my obsession, the topic. Do something else. Truth is the topic. I am naturally dharmic, that's not my topic. I am a businessman, that is not the topic. I do business for survival, but that's not my topic. That's not my topic. It's not my. Similarly, punya papa are not our topic. I don't commit sins, but I don't think too much about it. If there is punya in my account, so it be. If there is a lot of papa, so it be. But right now, neither I am interested in doing punya karma, nor I am interested in doing papa karma. I am thinking of the truth. And when I become a student of the truth, effortlessly I do only good deeds, not bad deeds anyway. And even good deeds would be more in the form of comforting others rather than rituals and all that. Comforting the uncomfortable. Yes, that is the best. Comforting the uncomfortable really prepares you for moksha. Rituals take you to Swarga. Now choose between the two. स्वामी जी दोनों कर सकते हैं ना, थोड़े दिन के लिए स्वर्ग जाएंगे, पता नहीं स्वर्ग जाके फिर कहाँ आएंगे. Suppose you come to Africa from स्वर्ग, जहाँ वेदांत है ही नहीं. Comfort the uncomfortable. You will be a great, your heart will change. Spend time for the uncomfortable. Not only comfort the uncomfortable, also desist from making others uncomfortable. Even if you don't like a person, you need not have to make him uncomfortable. You can keep a distance. Same logic. Even if you don't like a person, you don't have to be unfair to him. There are so many people whom we don't like in this world, but we don't have to be unfair to him. By the same logic, you may not like a person, don't make him feel uncomfortable. Let the dislikes die with you. Let them not be translated into misery for others. Swallow your dislikes, but don't let them loose to make others unhappy. Yes. Thus, Bhagavan says, all right thinking people understand this life, the background to life is truth ununderstood. The background to life is neither sin, nor merit, nor God's will, nor your own will, nor time, nor this, nor transformation, because these are all a part of appearance. It's not a part of it. Even God's will, my thought of God's will is a part of my thought. My thinking in terms of God's will is a part of my thinking. God's will is not independent of my thinking. Therefore, my thinking also is a part of creation. Cannot be the background to creation. Therefore, what is the background to the creation? All the things that, all the details that man can give as the reason for the creation, the background to life. In fact, man always, after thinking, he will only marshal, he will only put forward a few details of the creation. फिर कहाँ जाएंगे, क्या करेंगे? Are able to follow? Like Greek philosophers, after eating so much, lotuses, they are called lotus eaters, means you go on eating lotus. Eating lotus means, thinking in anything. You don't reach anywhere. Brood and reach nowhere. That is called lotus thinking. खाते रहो लेकिन पेट नहीं भरता है. पेट नहीं भरता है. They are lotus eaters. Therefore, whether it is a Greek philosopher or Indian speculators, Western speculators or Eastern speculators, independent of Vedanta, after all the speculation, they can only put forward a few details of creation like time, etc. as the background. But no detail of the creation, no part of anything which is a part of appearance should not be put forward as the background to creation. Are you able to follow? The background to creation. No detail of the creation, no detail of the appearance. Moving waves, that movement of the waves in the mirage cannot be given as the background to the mirage. That the movement of the waves in the mirage is a part of the mirage, not a background. A part of appearance cannot be given as the background to appearance. When you understand this, you throw away all, you have grown out of the whole speculation of the entire possible speculation in God's creation. You have grown out of speculation. And then you come back to what is evident, that is yourself. Yes. Grow out of speculation means what? Truth is not available to be speculated. That is called growing out of speculation. Growing out of tarka. This is over, Ji, and now we are going to start the second phase of Bhashyam, Adhyasa Bhashyam. What are we doing? By the way, what are we doing? Adhyasa Bhashyam. What are we doing? Adhyasa Bhashyam. What is Adhyasa Bhashyam? Introduction to Brahma Sutras. What are Brahma Sutras? Mimamsa about Veda, analyzing Veda, analyzing life, analyzing what we are. What we are. What is all this appearance and what are we? Brahma Sutras are Vedanta Mimamsa. Call it Vedanta Mimamsa, call it Brahma Mimamsa, call it Shariraka Mimamsa. Shariraka means Atma. Atma Mimamsa, Brahma Mimamsa, or Vedanta Mimamsa, it is nothing but Mimamsa means really analyzing as to what Vedanta says about me, what our scripture says about me. In the introduction, the introduction to Brahma Sutras is Adhyasa Bhashyam. Why it is called Adhyasa Bhashyam? It is a bhashyam that conveys that the whole problem is adhyasa. Adhyasa bhashyam means what? Adhyas ko hi bata. Adhyas hi problem hai. Dehoham is what? Adhyas hai. This is not some kind of transformation. This is not some kind of creation. This is perception. Even if you use the word creation, Maya Srishti. माया सृष्टि का मतलब वही बात, वही है माया सृष्टि. The second phase of Adhyasa Bhashya is, we will see in the next class. I will just make a beginning. Generally, we always commit an error about an object. Here you are saying there is an error about the subject. I can mistake the rope for a snake. I can mistake a rope for the snake, shell for the silver, post for a man or a man for a post, etc. But here if the truth is the subject, how can the subject be mistaken? I can make a mistake about things other than me. How can I make a mistake about myself? In this, there are certain crucial points to understand, which we will see later. Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.